Welcome to CSBJ Radio. CSBJ Radio is the premier online business talk radio show in the Southeast. CSBJ proactively connects, informs, and engages its listeners in all aspects of small business. Discover the entrepreneur in you with CSBJ Radio. Now, here's your host, Greg Wilson.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of CSBJ Radio. I am your host, Greg Wilson, the owner and publisher of Connection Small Business Journal. It's a beautiful Wednesday afternoon here in the beautiful city of Columbus, Georgia. I'm very excited to be bringing this podcast to you today. You can follow us online. Our website address is www.connectionssbj.com. If you want to listen to this podcast on a consistent basis or other podcasts that maybe we've done in the past, simply go to that website, connectionssbj.com. Click on my face. You'll see my face there on the right hand side of that website under the word CSBJ Radio. You could follow us online. Our Facebook page is Connections, or facebook.com/ConnectionsSBJ. You have advertising opportunities via our magazine, via the website, via this podcast, the television show. Just a wider range of ways for you to get your message out about your business and what you're doing. I strongly encourage you to follow us, see what we're about. This is not just what I will label as a publication, but this is actually turning into a movement, a small business movement, and I am very excited about it. So I'm glad that you've tuned in today. Our podcast today is being sponsored once again by Rain Big Media. Again, Rain Big Media Solutions Incorporated. Feel free to give them a call. Their services range from audio, video, graphic design, web design, any consulting that you may need regarding your web-based presence, even training. Rain Big Media Solutions is able to make that happen. Feel free to give them a call. Reach out to them. I strongly encourage that as well. Their telephone number is 706-536-9607. They have an office right here in Columbus, Georgia. They also have an office out in San Jose, California. So for those of you out on the West Coast that are tuned in to this podcast, give them a call, 650-383-7610. Again, this is Rain Big Media Solutions Incorporated. Their services, again, we've mentioned them before on previous podcasts: audio, video, graphic design, web design, consulting, and even training. They are your go-to company for anything media and web-based related. Give them a call today. Today's podcast is entitled The Power of Small Business Networking. The power of small business networking. If you're in business today, if you've thought about starting a business, maybe you've been in business for years, there is a power that is actually behind small business networking. You know, leaving the office, going out into the community, shaking hands, going to functions. There's a power behind small business networking. And we want to look at that power today. We want to look at the power of small business networking. And I want to start the podcast out with a quote. I want to start the power of small business networking out with a quote that I found very fitting for this occasion today. And that quote is this: knowledgeable people know facts. Successful and prosperous people know people. Do we get that? Knowledgeable people know facts, but successful and prosperous people know people. Friends, for those of you listening today, again, there is a power behind small business networking. You know, when we talk about networking, and we're very busy, we're running our day-to-day, we're doing the day-to-day due diligence with our business. We're, dealing with our social media presence. We're dealing with handling customers in the store. We're, dealing with running reports and see how our business is functioning. But we're going to have to take time out as well to continue to grow that business. And I'm telling you that networking is a way to do that. So for small business owners, time is money. My time is money. Well, guess what? Networking takes time. So any time and effort that we actually put into networking, the ultimate goal is for that to actually generate sales. The ultimate goal for networking, when we're out in the community, when we're going to different functions and we're passing out business cards, the ultimate goal is to generate sales. There should be a return on your investment when you go to a networking meeting. And so many times people have the misconception, small business owners have the misconception, and you know what, I've been guilty previously of that, but we have the misconception that networking must provide, an immediate or an instant return. That's not the case. Yeah, I have found that that is not the case at all. People do business with people. People do business with people that they actually trust, that they have grown to like over a particular period of time. So we have to actually get rid of the misconception that networking has to provide, an instant same day result. That may not be the case. And I'm not saying that it can't happen or won't happen, but the likelihood of that networking opportunity, generating revenue that day is small compared to the work that it's going to take for you to build a relationship with people. All right. So rarely does a first time contact with someone at a networking event, generate, an immediate response or generate an immediate sale. They may take your business card, they may go home, they may go back to their office, their respective locations, and actually, research you and find out what more you are about or what you're offering. But rarely does that first time contact generate an immediate return on investment, on that investment. And what is that investment? The time you took to go to that networking meeting. That is what we're talking about today. All right, so again, there's a power of small business networking. Again, let's get rid of the misconception that networking has to provide, an immediate result. How many of us are going out every day, or going to different events, across the city, your respective cities? We're broadcasting from Columbus, Georgia. I don't want to get ahead of myself today, but you're going to have to do your research even with the networking opportunities that present themselves. All right, but how many of us are going out, truly networking, truly attempting to build a relationship with people? And let's actually talk about that a little bit. That it actually takes time. It takes time to develop relationships with people who will eventually become customers. A lot of the people that I actually do business with, through CSBJ or through my own other company, Dreamscape Media, the majority of people that I do business with, there's some form of a business relationship there. There's some form even of a friendship that's there. People again do business with people. People do business with people that they actually have relationships with. So I want to encourage you that when you go into these networking meetings, when you go to a networking meeting, let's not always be about the sale. Granted, again, we do want, as I stated earlier, that the ultimate goal is for that networking event or that networking venue to generate a sale. But when you go to it, let's stop selling and be more about generating and building positive business relationships with people that are in the room. So again, it takes time to develop relationships with people. It takes time to develop relationships with businesses that will eventually become customers. It also even takes time to find the best networking opportunities. So here again, we're broadcasting from Columbus, Georgia, and there's just a plethora of networking opportunities that are available. Of course, CSBJ has their own networking meeting. So it's called CSBJ Engage, where we meet once a month. It's free of charge. And our networking meeting is more informational. All right. So not only are we have an opportunity to meet and greet, pass out business cards, that sort of thing, but we actually sit down and the takeaway is knowledge. All right. That also would equate to that return on the investment. If you walk into a network meeting and have never heard of SEO, and you leave a CSBJ Engage networking meeting and you know what SEO means, you know what it's about, well, guess what? There was a return that you immediately received on your investment of that time. All right. So again, take time to develop relationships with people and also take time to find out the best networking opportunity for you. All networking opportunities that exist, this entire plethora of opportunities that we've talked about, may not fit your particular business. It may not fit you as an individual, you as a small business owner. All right. But you're going to have to take the time and do your research and find out, hey, which opportunity nets the greatest result. All right. And again, keep in mind as well that networking opportunities may not immediately generate revenue that day. All right. So again, here in Columbus, I've mentioned CSBJ Engage. There are chamber events. There's a young professionals group. There's a black young professionals group. There's a minority networking night with the Columbus Times. Do your research. There's BNI. All right. And I'm sure that I'm leaving out some. And for those of you that are tuning in outside of Columbus, Georgia, do your research. Find out which networking opportunities exist in your particular area, your particular location. Do your research. Go and find out, hey, which one of these networking opportunities works best for me. And keep in mind, again, that there's a power of small business networking. I don't recommend that you stay home. I don't recommend that you spend all your time working your business. No, let's go about, doing our business or doing our business of taking our business outside of our four walls and getting in front of people and beginning to network with people. All right. People do business with people that either A, they're friends with, or B, they trust. So when we go to, again, these networking opportunities, let's take an opportunity to establish business friendships and not necessarily customers. Okay. You may even have the opportunity to do giveaways. Here with CSBJ Engage, we have a lady that owns $1 Million Massage, which is a great massage company here in Columbus, Georgia. But what does she do? Literally every networking group or every networking meeting, she gives away a 30-minute massage. That is phenomenal. She doesn't have to do it, but guess what she's doing? She's giving away these things and her business as a result, as a direct result of her networking, as a direct result of her going about establishing relationships with people and even giving something away for free. Her business is growing as a direct result of that. All right. So it takes time to identify key players. When you are at a networking meeting, hey, are you talking to the business owner or a representative of the business? All right, so that even takes time. Identify the key players. The key players are the ones that are well connected and have even networking down to an art. All right, so you want to become part of that inner crowd, that inner circle. All right, so when you go to a networking meeting, and you shake this individual's hand, find out who this individual is, and you just don't know that by a simple business card exchange. It takes time for you to sit and have a conversation and say, hey, am I actually dealing with maybe a representative of the company, or am I talking to a key player that works with this company? Again, the ultimate goal, all right, while you're networking, the ultimate goal is for that networking opportunity to generate a sale, generate revenue in some shape, form, or fashion. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is how do we even become active volunteers? Active volunteers in your community. Active volunteers even with the networking group that you are affiliated with. We've had recently, several people step up to the plate, and I personally truly thank them for stepping up to the plate, and they are actually volunteering their services, volunteering their time to help CSBJ Engage grow. All right. So they're volunteering, and as a direct result, guess what they get? They're definitely getting mentions. They're definitely getting their feet wet into the networking, and they're able to grow their business as a result of volunteering their time. All right. So if you have not volunteered your time, volunteering is a great way to establish those friendships. Volunteering is a great way for you to build your network. All right. For me, as a person, I don't mind saying this. I'll volunteer inside of the jail, inside of the prison. Well, you say, well, Greg, why in the world are you volunteering inside of the jail, or what type of opportunities will come to you as a result of that? Well, there are people that work at the facility that actually network with CSBJ Engage. Okay, we have a business relationship. We have a volunteer-based relationship. All right, and I'm gonna throw one at you that maybe you didn't see coming. Well, a lot of the residents, and yes, I'm labeling them as residents of these particular facilities, guess what? They're getting out. And guess what? they're going to need employment. And guess what? There are financial benefits for me to hire an ex-offender. And maybe we'll cover that on another podcast. But just think, we have to think outside of the box. And that's why I'm encouraging you to volunteer. You choose maybe a networking opportunity for you to volunteer with. You choose somewhere maybe in your community to volunteer with, and you will see that relationships are being formed. And as a result of those relationships being formed, it ultimately will do what the very first thing we said do, and that is to generate revenue for your business. Okay? So successful networking also involves what I would label as an active follow-up. Active follow-up. So when we go into the networking meetings and we're shaking hands, we're sipping on a little glass of Coke, and we're eating the hors d'oeuvres, and we're laughing and talking, all right, and we leave that networking meeting maybe with a handful of business cards. How many of us proactively follow up with those contacts? You're looking at the business card, maybe there's an email address on there, maybe there's a phone number on there, but how many of us actually take the time, and yes, it does take time to follow up. But if you truly want to be successful, if you truly want to experience the power of small business networking, not only are we going to have to go to the networking meetings, but the information that we gain from it, the business cards that we take away, we're going to have to actively and proactively follow up. Following any meeting with a quick handwritten note is a very effective way to reinforce a positive prior meeting. I want to use even a personal story at this point. Met an individual, and yes, I'm going to call her name on this podcast, Rachel Wilcox with Hudson Financial. Rachel Wilcox with Hudson Financial. She and I met at a Starbucks location. She's in the insurance business. At the time that she and I met, she had no way of knowing, because I didn't bring it up, that I was searching for a life insurance policy. She had no way of knowing. But during our conversation, I'm talking to her about CSBJ. She's talking to me about Hudson Financial. 2 days later, in my office, the postman comes in, and there is a handwritten note inside of a card that stated, for all of your insurance needs, consider Hudson Financial, consider Rachel Wilcox. That blew my mind. I was searching. She didn't know I was searching, but her proactive follow-up after the networking meeting, after that meeting at Starbucks, well, guess what I did? I called her. And as a result, she is still my insurance agent today from that one meeting. And I use that example because follow-up works. She gets a residual every month from me paying my insurance bill every month. And that has been well over a year ago. Why? Because she thought that it would be good to follow up with Greg Wilson with a handwritten note. It's easy to sit and type an email. 9 times out of 10, that's what the majority of us are doing. But to take the time out to physically grab an ink pen, write a handwritten note, put a darn stamp on it, and send it out, well, guess what? That takes a little bit more effort. And she has my business today as a direct result of that. So follow up any meeting that you have with a quick handwritten note, phone call. Those things take effort, all right? And it's a positive way for you to reinforce, a prior meeting. It's a nice touch even to follow up any information learned about someone at a meeting. So if you learn that, hey, someone is going to be celebrating a birthday in 10 days, and 10 days later on their birthday, they go to their mailbox and there's a card in it with your information, with your business contact information in it, saying simply happy birthday. You don't have to go into any long drawn out, but the fact that you actually thought about that individual, the fact that you actually reached out to them with a card or handwritten note, trust me, they file that away in the back of their mind. And when they think of doing business, when they think of the goods and services that you're providing, not only will they think of the goods and service that you're providing, but they're going to say, hey, this individual thought enough of me to send me a card. This individual thought enough of me to send me maybe a letter or a handwritten note. All right. So follow up when we go to these networking meetings. Follow those networking meetings up. Follow those contacts up. Stay in contact with people. And again, Don't necessarily just focus on the sale, but focus on building the relationship. All right. Finally, it's going to be while we're out networking, it's also crucial for us to remember the importance of body language. Things like good posture, eye contact, or the lack thereof. These are non-verbal signals that the person you're talking to or the person that you happen to be listening to are picking up on. Even when I go into a prison or go into a jail and I'm talking to a room full of residents, okay, I'm able to gauge if they are receptive and if they're not receptive. If they're sitting with arms closed and if you're standing with arms closed, that is almost a defensive posture that shows, without you saying a word, that really you're not interested, or really you're actually a little bit wary of what the individual is saying. All right. So let's be aware of how we are actually being displayed, or how we're displaying, or even showing or giving feedback to the individual that's speaking to us or the individual that we're listening to. All right. So remember the importance of body language in any networking situation. All right. We don't want to give away nonverbal signs, whether it be on purpose or subconsciously as well. All right. A firm handshake speaks volumes about a new acquaintance. Okay. Shake their hand. Firmly shake their hand. Whether you're a woman or a man, firmly shake an individual's hand. And doing that, guess what that exudes? It exudes confidence. It exudes the fact that, hey, I am confident in my own skin. I am confident about the good and service that I'm providing to you. All right. So again, these are things that we want to be aware of, to keep in mind again that there is actually a power behind small business networking. All right. We have a lot to worry about as small business owners, but I am telling you that there is a power behind small business networking. And I want to encourage you, even this week, this month, to get outside of your comfort zone. Consider networking with not only CSBJ, of course, but there are other networking opportunities, and do your research. Find out which networking opportunity works best for you, and I strongly encourage you to go out and find it. This has been Greg Wilson with the topic, the power of small business networking, right here on CSBJ Radio. You can find us online at www.connectionssbj.com. You can also visit us on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/connectionssbj. If you're interested in advertising with us, give us a call. Give us a call today, 706-289-7863. Again, this is Greg Wilson.